Bro, she cold. Bro, she's a winner.
25 points a night. League leader. Nobody else is close. Here's the thing about the 2026 MVP race that nobody covering it wants to say out loud. It's already over. It's been over for weeks. There's a 4-time MVP leading the league in scoring, anchoring the best front court in basketball on a team sitting at 14-5, and she is somehow, the story people keep trying to write around. You want to call what she's doing a great season? Fine. But you don't have the full picture yet. Because once you actually look at what she's chasing, and who the league keeps propping up next to her instead, great stops being the right word. To understand what's happening right now, you have to back up a little. Rewind to last fall. A'ja Wilson closes the 2025 season as the only player in WNBA history to win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, and lead the league in scoring, all in the same year. She becomes the first player in league history to win a 4th MVP award, 51 of 72 first-place votes. It wasn't a debate, it was a coronation. And here's what makes that number strange. 4 MVPs puts her alone, not tied, alone. She's a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, and she holds the league record for the highest single-season scoring average, 26.9 points a game. The New York Times literally described her as the league's on-court answer to LeBron James or Michael Jordan. So the question heading into 2026 was never can she still do it. The question was whether anyone on the planet could get close enough to make it interesting. The answer, so far, is no. And she spent the first 2 months of this season making sure everyone knew it. April 15th, the Aces re-sign her. She becomes the highest paid player in the WNBA, a 3-year deal starting at $1.4 million. The GM calls her one of one. And Wilson, being Wilson, responds to the biggest contract in league history with 4 letters. You already know the ones. Remember how she ended the previous season? During the Aces' 16-0 run to close 2025, she averaged 25 points, 12 rebounds, and better than 2 blocks a game. That's the version of A'ja Wilson that walked into 2026. Not a player trying to recapture something, a player who never stopped. So when the 2026 season tipped off, and the odds makers had to set the MVP board, they did the only rational thing. A'ja Wilson moved into the odds lead the week before the season even started. And in a survey of WNBA general managers, the people who actually have to game plan against her, she got the highest percentage of votes to win it. The people who run the teams picked her. Hold on to that because it's going to matter in a few minutes. Now let's talk about what this season has actually looked like, because the box scores tell a story the highlights don't fully capture. Start with May 15th, Connecticut. A'ja Wilson drops 45 points, 15 for 18 from the field. She makes all 13 of her free throws. It's the 5th 40-point game of her career, a WNBA record, breaking a tie with Breanna Stewart and Taurasi. And she becomes the only player in league history to score 45 or more on 80% shooting. 45 points, and it looked easy. Then, June 8th, Seattle. A'ja Wilson becomes the fastest player in WNBA history to reach 6,000 career points. She does it in 278 games. The name she passed? Taurasi, the league's all-time leading scorer, who needed 291. Breanna Stewart did it in 293. Wilson beat both of them by more than a dozen games, and she did it younger too. And here's the part that should stop you. That night, she didn't just hit the milestone. She put up 34 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 blocks. The first 34, 12, and 9 game in WNBA history. Her teammates spent the final minutes trying to feed her a triple-double. She missed it by 1 assist. She broke the fastest to 6,000 record, and that wasn't even the most complete stat line she posted that month, because just weeks later, against the Chicago Sky, she went for 30 points, 15 rebounds, 4 steals, and 3 blocks. That was the 8th time in her career she's put up a 30 and 15 game, the most such games by any player in WNBA history. Her own coach, Becky Hammon, put it simplest. She said there's really not any offensive area A'ja can't operate in. Back to the basket, mid-range, out to the three-point line, off the dribble. Her words, the expansion of that game has made A'ja Wilson virtually unguardable. The Aces are 14-5, second in the league. And the engine of all of it is a 29-year-old center who is, statistically, having one of the best individual seasons the league has ever seen. 25.7 points a game, first in the league. 9.5 rebounds, 2 blocks a night, also first in the league. Leading the league in efficiency. Her name is written all over MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. Those aren't great for a 4-time MVP numbers. Those are just the best numbers in the league, period. From the best two-way player in the sport. So here's the question that actually makes this a video. If she's leading the league in scoring, leading the league in blocks, breaking all-time records, and the general managers already voted her the favorite, why does the betting market keep telling a different story? Go look at where the money went before the season. The most MVP tickets at one major sportsbook went to Caitlin Clark at 20%. Then Paige Bueckers. A'ja Wilson, the reigning 4-time record-breaking MVP, was third at 14%. And the sportsbooks know exactly why. Listen to how one oddsmaker put it. People will bet Caitlin Clark regardless of the price. They just want a piece of the action. So the books play a game of how low can the odds go where people still bet it. Read that again. The odds on the MVP race are not being set by who's playing the best basketball. They're being set by whose fans bet the hardest. One veteran broadcaster said the quiet part out loud. She called Clark a phenomenal player. She was careful about that. And then she said this. I would say it's a level of disrespect. Respectfully, A'ja Wilson, Napheesa Collier, and Breanna Stewart deserve better odds. Her point was simple. Clark's MVP odds have been inflated by demand, not by resume. And look, this isn't a Caitlin Clark takedown. Clark is real. She's the most commercially powerful figure in the sport, and she opened this season becoming the fastest player in league history to 1,000 career points. She belongs in the conversation. But there's a difference between belonging in a conversation and bending the entire conversation around you. And that's what keeps happening to A'ja Wilson. She does something no human being has ever done on a basketball court. And the discourse spends the next 48 hours arguing about somebody else's ceiling. Now, if you want an honest MVP debate, a real one on the merits, there's exactly one name that qualifies. And it isn't the one the betting slips keep pointing at. It's Napheesa Collier. She's finished runner-up to Wilson in each of the last 2 MVP races. In 2025, she looked poised to finally win it before a late-season injury derailed her case. Her career has been a series of almosts, and she is right there. But here's the catch. Collier's been sidelined coming into the summer, recovering from surgery. Every game she misses is a game A'ja Wilson is out there stacking another 30-point, 15-rebound night onto the pile. As one trader put it, if Collier were healthy, her odds would be right there with Wilson. How much time she misses will decide whether she can contend at all. So the one person with a legitimate basketball case to take it from Wilson is fighting the schedule as much as she's fighting Wilson. And that's the whole point. This isn't a race where someone's outplaying A'ja Wilson. It's a race where the field is hoping she cools off, and she refuses to. Zoom all the way out. Because a 5th MVP wouldn't just be another trophy. A'ja Wilson is the only player in league history with 4. A 5th doesn't extend a record. It builds a floor nobody else in the sport's 30-year history has come near. And think about the company she's already keeping. Her 6,004 career points put her 19th all-time. And she's about to pass a cluster that includes Lauren Jackson and Brittany Griner. Diana Taurasi finished her whole career with 10,646 points. A'ja Wilson is 29 years old, sitting on 6,000, with years of prime basketball left. The record she set in June was remarkable. The one she's on pace to set by the end of her career might be untouchable. And remember the general managers, the people who scheme against her for a living, picked her before the season started. They don't get a vote in the betting market, but they get the truest vote there is, the one where you actually have to stop her. And they already told you they can't. Here's where we are. A'ja Wilson leads the league in scoring, leads the league in blocks, leads the league in efficiency. The Aces are 14-5. She's the fastest player in the history of the sport to 6,000 points. She's the odds-on favorite for a 5th MVP that no human being has ever won. And she is still, somehow, the player the coverage keeps treating like a supporting character in someone else's story. Now, is it a perfect run? No. She rolled her ankle late in that Chicago win, sat out the Commissioner's Cup final, and the Aces dropped that game to the Liberty without her. Her coach says it's minor, a few days. But it's a reminder that the one thing that's ever actually slowed A'ja Wilson down isn't another player. It's the schedule. It's her own body asking for a night off. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the MVP is mathematically locked. Collier could come back healthy and go supernova. Clark could put together the run her talent has always promised. That's a different video. But here's what I will tell you. Do not write around a 4-time MVP who is outproducing the entire league, breaking records that stood for 2 decades, and doing it as the best two-way player in the sport, just because her fan base doesn't move the betting lines the way somebody else's does. There's a version of this story where 5 years from now, we look back at 2026 as the season A'ja Wilson quietly became the most decorated player the league ever produced, while the whole sport was busy looking somewhere else. Because that's the thing about A'ja Wilson. It was never whether she was good enough. The only question anyone ever had was whether anyone could get close. And game after game, record after record, she keeps giving the same answer. No. Now I want to hear from you. Is the 2026 MVP already A'ja Wilson's, or does Collier or Clark have a real case to take it? Drop it in the comments. Hit like if you think the 4-time MVP deserves more respect than the odds board gives her. Subscribe if you're not already, because this race is going to need a few more videos. And check out one of these on your screen right now.